Well, I think we ran a great campaign. We ran on issues that meant a lot to me: protecting privacy, having a reasonable foreign policy, balancing the budget, term limits, and it resonated. We had huge rallies. We had 1,500 kids at the University of Iowa in our last rally, but I think there just wasn't enough votes. I mean, we did pretty well. We beat 4 governors, we beat a senator, but I think it just wasn't enough votes to have the momentum to win in New Hampshire. And I've always been a big believer in spreading the message, but also doing it in a race that we can actually win. So, we'll carry on these same principles, but we'll now carry them on in the U.S. Senate. We're excited about having the presidential caucus. This will be the first time that we'll actually be relevant. Instead of when the nomination's already been decided, Kentucky's going to be right in the mix of it. 11 candidates have signed up for it. It's actually bringing money into the Republican Party because of the filing fees from the 11 candidates. So we're very excited about it. I'm going to be in Louisville helping to promote it 2 days before the caucus, and then I'll be in Bowling Green the day before the caucus helping to promote it. Our volunteers will spread out across Kentucky. We're going to be manning caucus booths, and this is a big party builder. The caucus is a huge advantage for the Republican Party, and we're excited to be part of it. Yep, the costs are going to be covered. In fact, it's going to be a money raiser for the Republican Party. Um, I think nobody knows what turnout is in advance. People guess, but nobody knows. We're going to encourage as many people who want to vote and participate in it. And really, we're going to be much more relevant this time than we've ever been, because usually we've held it in late May, and there have been times when turnout has dwindled because the presidential election was already decided. So I think because the presidential election is still undecided, it's going to drive turnout. We may actually get a great amount of turnout. But the Republican Party is also going to use this as a way to connect with voters, get them to sign up for the Republican newsletter, get them on the email list, so we can actually use this as a party building function. In Iowa, the caucus is a big thing. They had, I think, their biggest turnout ever. So just because it's a caucus doesn't mean there won't be good turnout. It may well mean, because we're relevant and people are excited in the middle of presidential season, that we get a bigger turnout than we've ever had. I think we're going to stay out of the presidential race and keep promoting the issues that I promoted on a national stage, continue to promote them, on Kentucky stages. And we think having a national presence for Kentucky has been a good thing. The things that I support: defending people's right to be left alone, defending the idea that we shouldn't spend more than comes in. I personally have actually returned $2.4 million from my legislative budget to the Treasury because I believe so strongly in the idea that government's spending too much money. So we'll keep promoting these ideas. We have a 25-city Kentucky tour coming up next week when we're off, for 2 weeks when we're off in our Senate recess. So we're looking forward to continuing to spread that message. We're going to stay out of the presidential race. I'm going to just keep spreading my message in Kentucky, and we're going to encourage everybody to come, for the caucus. We are not going to predetermine the race by getting involved in the race, because we want all the candidates to come to Kentucky, and we want them all to participate equally in the caucus. No, I think that's really a decision of every candidate they have to make. I think it's very important to elect local leaders that are conscientious and work hard to make sure you have good water. Water is essentially a local issue, and so it's important. That's why it's important who you have on your city council, who you have as your mayors. And so I think Kentucky does a pretty good job with their local leaders. I meet with the mayors of all the cities, Republican and Democrat and independent, and I think Kentucky does a good job of electing people who do care about the water system. Well, yes, absolutely. People should obey the rules, and cities should have oversight on, making sure that we have a clean water supply. You know that we can't keep borrowing $1 million a minute. The debt's a threat to our economy and to our national security, and that I'm continuing to lead by example, returning $2.4 million of my legislative budget to the Treasury to show that that's what we all need to be doing in order to not bankrupt the country. No, I've said exactly what I believe in, and that's that we have to have a strong national defense, strong enough to deter any attack, strong enough to repel any attack, but we shouldn't bankrupt the country with it. We do have to also look at military spending, and if we're not willing to look at spending all across the board, then we're not truly conservative or truly aware of the desperate nature of our fiscal condition. Yeah, the caucus is a great idea. I fully support the caucus. It's actually bringing money into the GOP. All 11 candidates that are signed up on the ballot have paid a filing fee, and we're excited about the caucus. We think it's going to grow the party. It's a great organizational event to become more easily communicating with the Republicans in the party, and this will be the first time in really the long time history that Republicans will actually have a say in who the nominee is, because often the nominating contest had already been decided later in May.